Coach Derek Stingley Sr. is involved with fantastic organization. In fact, they're putting on a camp coming up on January 16th. You can get tickets right now as they will be, you can email them at elitefbla@gmail.com for more information. They've also got their information up on their social media sites on Twitter and Instagram at Elite Football LA, Elite FBLA. The camp's going to be over at the Dunham School coming up on January 16th. It'll run from 8 to 3 o'clock. Jacob Hester, Matt Flynn, Richard Dixon, Marlon Favorite, Craig Steltz, all a part of the camp. Elite Football Academy. Check them out. Elite Football, Elite FBLA on Twitter and Instagram. Coach Derek Stingley is with us every Tuesday. Compliments of City Cafe. Remember, great lunch specials over at City Cafe on the corner of George O'Neill and O'Neill Lane, where you can stop in today. Tell them you heard it here on Off the Bench. Happy New Year, Coach. Good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. Happy New Year.
Absolutely. Before we get into talking about off-season, in-season, what's going on with Sting Jr. this summer, tell us a little bit about Elite Football Academy and what's coming up over at the Dunham School on January 16th. I know that there are a lot of excited people around the city to learn what you guys have going on, what we have going on over at Elite Football Academy.
Yeah, well, what's going on January 16th? It's going to be like a camp for kids, just to get some instruction from those guys where they can kind of run around and understand some fundamentals of playing football and getting taught by some of the greats from LSU. So that's what that's about. But the gym that we actually have is off of Opportunity Avenue. It's 17475 Opportunity Avenue near Highland and Airline. We do a lot of individual training. It's football only. We've been at it for about maybe two to 3 weeks now. We go from all ages, from basically elementary school on up to pros. So, and it's a good thing in my opinion, because it's just specialized in football only. And we have individual classes, we have group classes, and it's something good for the city, I believe. And hopefully we're going to be here to stay for a while.
Elite FBLA. Hit them on social media. They're on Twitter and Instagram, and learn more about the January 16th camp coming up, where you can learn from some former pros and Tiger greats over at the Dunham School. Coach Derek Stingley Jr. joining us, Coach Derek Stingley Sr. joining us just like he does every Tuesday here on Off the Bench. We talked to Coach Ogeron in hour number one. He wrapped up the season for us. How about from your point of view? I know that Sting Jr. was banged up towards the end of the season, but LSU seemingly, from a program standpoint, finished on a high note. What did you make of the way that they ended the year?
No, I thought it was great for the team to go and show some grit and play tough those last two games to come out with a even record. We saw some other guys step up and make some big plays for us. I thought that the freshman class was unbelievable this year. Those guys making plays all over the field. And I just think it was good overall, because, it helped in a lot of areas. It helped in confidence for those players. It helped with understanding that you can believe in some of the players from a coaching standpoint. And then from a recruiting standpoint, it looks good knowing that if I'm a recruit, I can come in and possibly play my freshman year and make plays like those guys did. So, it was great. Unfortunately, the year was a trying year for us, and that's what we wanted better. But I love the way that we finished strong, and that's what you need to do in order to, get yourself prepared for the following year.
How about from an individual standpoint? Frustrating year for the best cornerback in college football, just from an injury standpoint. It never seemed like he could get going. I know that he got some offseason accolades, but where were you at as far as his sophomore season was concerned?
Well, we kind of knew it was going to be a year where he may not have was going to get a lot of action his way, but you can't foresee injuries. So it was already a shortened season. He only played in 7 of those 10 games, really 6.5, because he didn't play coming out of halftime, I don't think, from the Arkansas game. So, it was a little trying for him because of the fact that, he's not used to sitting out and watching or you know, the injuries from him, he's never really been hurt like that. So he didn't understand some of the injuries on why he couldn't do certain things and really wanted to push himself. But, you know, you live and learn, and now he understands that, you know, he has to do better, like meaning taking care of his body during the year as well. And not to say that that's what caused some of the injuries. The injuries that he had was on-field injuries, like collisions and things like that. But you have to be smart. You know, you can't force yourself, you know, to want to get back out there when you really can't go. So because, yeah, a game matters, but the season matters the most. So he's better knowing how to take care of himself, but he understands that, you know, this year coming up is probably, you know, it's his year to really play well and get back to the point where he's making plays when plays come his way.
Is he right now? Is he good training and?
He's just been stretching. I put him through a stretch routine. He probably stretch out real good, probably three times a week. He hasn't done any running yet still. That leg is still kind of bothering him. Yeah, well, it's not bad. He'll be ready to go. But it's just that, you know, it's still been a while, and I thought by now he would be from it and ready to, you know, do some real running and things like that. But, you know, there's no need to push him at this moment. But flexibility is something that I always harp on with him, and now since he really can't do that much running, I can at least get him through a good stretch routine, which is good for him. So that's what he's doing most of the time now.
Talking to Coach Derek Stingley Sr. here on Off the Bench. And, Coach, as far as Junior goes, you mentioned there at the end you put the qualifier, when plays come his way. And I want to ask you about that because I've seen this rhythm time and time again at LSU where CB1 is so good that plays get forced to CB2. He then makes a lot of plays, amasses a lot of stats, and the next year he becomes CB1. But then all of a sudden he doesn't have the stats the next year, and the new CB2 does, and then everyone's like, oh, well, look at the new guy's better than the older guy. So how do you make plays when those opportunities are going to come in a much more limited fashion?
Well, you got to stay dialed in and focused, and that's one thing that Corey Raymond always stays on those guys about, especially with Derek, because he knew it would be that type of year for him, to where you cannot relax. You know, every play matters. It's almost like as if this is your, you know, championship-defining play, and it could just be play one of the game. So you have to be ready. And, you know, you can, when you're 18, 19 years old, when the ball isn't coming your way as much, you're going to lose a little focus.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys just have to stay focused. The good thing about it is this, you know, Eli played, I mean, in my opinion, he should have been first team All-American.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he didn't get any of those accolades, but it's going to be tough because now what do you do? Because you see that Derek, you know, that he can play just as good as Eli can play, and now where you gonna throw the ball? You're gonna have to run it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think when those two are locked in, it's probably the best cornerback tandem in the country. Yeah, Eli probably just suffered from overall the defense kind of struggling there as far as awards go. As a defensive back and as a defensive back coach, I think you can appreciate wide receiver play more than most. What did you think about Kayshon Boutt's 300-yard game to end the season?
Man, he was in a zone that day. I mean, it was I thought he was going to go for more, to be honest. It seemed like everything that was coming his way he was catching, and he was just creating separation from the defense. You know, I've seen him do it a few times when I was at practice. You know, he looked amazing. I was like, this kid is next level. Like, he's going to be one of the next greats. And for him to have that type of game, I know that, you know, early on they were using him for certain things like screens and hitch routes and things like that. But, you know, he really showed who he can be. And hopefully we can continue to have that type of play from him to where now guys got to figure out how they're going to cover him. And then now next maybe someone else will get the same type of plays for next year. Yeah. So I was impressed, and I was impressed with him for a while. So I'm happy that he had that type of game where people understand that we have a good wide receiver in Kayshon.
And then let's flip back over to the defensive side of the ball, because one of the positions that everybody's going to want to get nailed down in this offseason is going to be that nickel corner, kind of that slot corner.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole cornerback position was in a lot of flux this year, right? We saw Jay Ward flop. McLaughlin came in, gave you some valuable minutes. Guys battling out there. Do you have an idea of who you think's in the lead for that slot position?
I do not, just because we don't know what the defense is going to be this year. I'm pretty sure they're gonna stay with Cordell though. That was a new position for him, so he had to learn nickel and corner. So that's a lot to put on a kid to say, okay, you have to learn this side on nickel, then you have to learn this side on corner. So I mean, he played as well as he could. He had some good games, but he had his struggles. But I think that, with the experience, that's going to come confident. So, I think with him, Sting, and Eli out there, they're going to do some good things, and that's what I'm hoping for sure.
And then what about that safety group? How much, in your view, of the struggles of that position last year were maybe the players not being put in the best position by the coaches, and then how much of it is just on the players needing to improve?
Well, I think it was a combination of both, probably, because there was times when I thought that they were out of position from play calling, but then I thought that there was times where it was just the athlete. The athlete just couldn't get it done, and then there was times where they weren't on the same page. So it was just a mixture of it all. So I think now with maybe them identifying the problems, maybe we do better with play calling. Maybe we do better with athletes out there, and I think that's what's going to push us further into getting back into the playoffs. Is we got to play good defense, and then with the corners and the safeties, they have to be on the same page. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to do what we did last year for the upcoming year with blowing coverages and things like that.
Yeah.
Without no names or any, if you were making the hire, what would the emphasis be on LSU's defensive coordinator? What would you be looking for?
A young guy with some energy, who's willing to say, okay, these are my players and this is how I got to conform. Although I have this great defense in mind that I want, but I'm just going to take my players' strengths and use those to our ability to win until I can get them on the page of what I want them to do. And I think that's just going to come from a young guy, because you get older, I hate to say older guys, but you get older guys, they're kind of set in their ways. Young guys, maybe coaches can talk, they can bounce things off one another, and, because they're still learning as coaches, or they're willing to take some criticism or constructive criticism to get things right. So, yeah, that's what I would be looking for, someone that I know that can actually take our personnel and use it to the best of his ability with his play calling. But then at the same time, bring his stuff in, coach these boys up. I don't think defenses can be that complicated to where they really can't get it. But, the way that's going to work is all coaches from assistants to coordinators got to be on the same page for sure.
Elite Football Academy. It is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all football training. That's all they focus on, is getting you to become a better football player. They offer individual and group training sessions. Derek Stingley Sr. is over there. You can find him on social media, Twitter and Instagram, at EliteFBLA. They've also got an event coming up on January 16th where they'll have a football camp. An Elite Football Academy presents the Champions Camp at the Dunham School coming up on January 16th, where you can get entry and know how you can be a part of it over there at the Dunham School coming up in mid-January. Always appreciate the time, Coach Sting. We'll talk again soon.
Great having. Talk to you guys later.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
There he is, Coach Sting checking in this morning. Don't forget, City Cafe brings us the conversation. Check them out, citycafebr.net. Your mailbag questions next.